Certainly, Mossad is in the lead. It's assassination and murder unit number one. But Mossad effectively has determined U.S. policy for decades, and Trump is falling into line. We know that our foreign policy is governed by a deep state apparatus, the CIA, Mossad, MI6, as you said. And we know that the actions that occur, for example, Ukraine's attack on Russia's strategic nuclear bombers, have the same provenance. That is the same authors as Israel's attack in Tehran last week. Same methods, same crates carrying drones inside a country to make a decapitation strike or to make a strategic strike. So Mossad was involved in both the Ukraine operation and in the Tehran operation last week. What did the CIA know? Well, of course it knew. It was involved in all of this. Who leads all of this? Mossad, I would say. It's weird, but it's actually true. America does not have an America first foreign policy, despite what Donald Trump says. America has an Israel first foreign policy. It happens that Israel's foreign policy is completely reckless, dangerous, and delusional. And it has been that way for decades. The U.S. will spend trillions of dollars and lives and the utter destruction of world trust in the United States to do this extremist Zionist bidding.
It's not just blackmail that makes people obey. It's not just bribery. It's also the threat of violence.
Do you know anybody that's been threatened with violence?
I think every U.S. president has been threatened with violence implicitly because of the murder of John F. Kennedy. I've known a bunch of presidents, and I think every one of them understands that, it's pretty obvious what happened there, or the outlines, maybe not the details. And no one has, to this day, released all the files. And why is that? Because the message is really clear. If you get too far outside the boundaries, you could wind up like JFK.
Who places the boundaries?
Probably the same forces that murdered the sitting president in 1963.
It's a question of a realistic assessment of a threat, a palpable threat to our common civilization. There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." I said, "Is it classified?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, don't show it to me."
I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you?
Taken money from the Israel...
From AIPAC.
So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship.
Is AIPAC a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. AIPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Great.
And I've worked every day to do that.